So, Mike, you were speaking about negotiation roles, right?
Yeah.
And there's an interesting angle on this. I work with a customer who's going through a series of different interviewing techniques at the moment, or not interviewing techniques. They're running interviews because they need to hire about 100 people. And that means they're doing basically 1,000 interviews over the course of the year, really high intensity stuff. And what they've done is that they've created a pair work process for this. So they have one main interviewer and they have one person who is there, and their role is the summarizer or the chairman. And so they've created a situation where they've got one person who's responsible for a sequence of 5 questions within the interview technique. That's the lead negotiator in our terminology. So they're running the actual content of the discussion. And the other person is there to do the small talk, to do the flow of the meeting itself, and to ensure that there is, a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's very, very interesting, the fact that they've taken away a huge amount of value from this cooperation. Another example with the same outcome is a company that has a group of key account managers, and they have an internal recommendation to only run negotiations in groups of 2, where they really try consistently and often to use this particular process. And what very often happens is that you will have the lead negotiator as the key account manager, and they will take somebody in with them, and sometimes that person is their boss. And nobody likes going to do a negotiation or to do a sales call with their boss for obvious reasons. And so sometimes it helps, or all the time it helps, if the boss can actually be told what to do, because otherwise they end up being bossy. And the word bossy in English means overbearing and, taking control, exactly the things that you don't want them to do because you're the key account manager. Which means if you tell your boss very, very clearly that the role of the summarizer, the role of the chairman, is the things that you have described in the previous film, then you can arrange the situation so that they get a lot of value out of performing their role successfully, and you get a lot of value because you use all of the benefits of that summarizer and chairman role.
So just to pull out a couple of the key points there, Tim, the first is that having this division of roles, of course, has the benefit where not everybody can do everything at once. So I'm focusing on this aspect of a negotiation or meeting. This other person is focusing on another aspect, and together the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. What's also really interesting is this division must be clear, because if there is a hierarchy involved, you don't necessarily want to revert to that natural hierarchy. So even though they're the boss, if their role is not the lead position, then they need to make sure it's clear what the boss needs to do and what the boss actually shouldn't do in terms of taking control away from the lead. It also kind of reminds me of this kind of good cop, bad cop idea where one person is playing a particular role in a particular situation and another person is kind of taking maybe a contrasting role.
And absolutely, and good cop, bad cop, everybody's heard of it. It's actually extremely difficult to do because you're actually pretending a behavioral role. All of a sudden, you're becoming nasty, or and that's really, really difficult. But being the summarizer, just doing the chairman role, just interrupting, making sure you've understood, suggesting breaks, that's easy compared to being a bad cop. Yeah. And so for sure, the chairman lead negotiator role does give you the chairman being the good cop, if you like, the lead negotiator being the bad cop. But again, this differentiation of role is something that helps the meeting along really, really well. We could look at it from a different context as well, simply in terms of internal meetings. You're the meeting owner, you're the lead. Try and find somebody who does the summaries, does the introductions, presents the agenda. There's no rule that says you have to do everything within a meeting, and there are a lot of good examples of meetings that also split this role definition up so that various people do various things. It adds a lot of value to the whole process.